The first time anyone at Westfield High noticed Lena Park was when they heard the sound of a locker slamming and the thud of someone's back hitting the floor right after. But before that moment, Lena was mostly invisible. She didn't speak much, never raised her hand, and rarely made eye contact. She wore her black hair loose, often hiding part of her face, and her clothes, always oversized, seemed like they were made to make her blend into the walls. She wasn't poor, nor was she awkward. She just kept to herself. And for some reason, that made her a magnet for the wrong kind of attention. It started small pencils stolen from her desk, her name written incorrectly on attendance sheets with mocking nicknames, whispered insults in the hallway. Lena never reacted. She kept walking, head down, pretending the comments didn't sting, pretending her silence was armor. But things escalated fast. No one really knew who started it, probably Marcy Hall, the queen bee of the school. Tall, blonde, cruel in a way that was subtle only to teachers. With her designer shoes and perfect teeth, Marcy ruled the social food chain. And to her, Lena was an easy target. One Friday afternoon, as the final bell echoed through the halls, Lena made her way to her locker. The corridor had mostly emptied, most students rushed out for the weekend. But not Marcy and her crew. They were waiting. Lena didn't notice them at first. She reached up to open her locker, twisting the combination lock, until a sudden sharp tug behind her made her spin around. "Oops," Marcy said, holding a torn piece of Lena's shirt in her hand. "Clumsy you." Lena gasped. Her shirt had ripped from the shoulder down to her waist. She instinctively wrapped her arms around herself, trying to cover the exposed side of her body. Her face burned with shame. A few students still lingered, phones out, giggling, whispering. One of the guys even whistled. Lena looked around helplessly. No teacher in sight. No friend. No one. Marcy laughed. "What? No comeback? No tears? God, you're boring." Another girl, Tamara, stepped forward and pushed Lena hard. She staggered back, slamming into the lockers behind her. Her lips split on impact. Something inside Lena cracked. The silence that had once been her shield was no longer strong enough. And beneath it was a storm. She dropped her bag, slowly unwrapped her arms. Marcy blinked. "You gonna cry or something?" Lena stepped forward. She didn't say a word. Tamara raised a hand again, but before she could even blink, Lena moved, grabbing her wrist, twisting it behind her back, and flipping her over in one fluid motion. Tamara hit the ground hard, groaning. Everyone froze. Lena turned to Marcy, eyes calm, breathing steady. "Don't," she said quietly. Marcy's mouth hung open. "What the hell, eh?" Before she could finish, Lena stepped close. "If you ever touch me again," Lena whispered, "I will not hold back." Marcy, stunned and embarrassed, backed away. Everyone else had their phones out, but no one dared speak. Lena bent down, picked up her bag, and walked away, shirt still torn, but head held high. It only took 60 seconds. The video spread across the school like wildfire. But unlike the usual bullying clips, this one was different. It wasn't just a fight. It was a reckoning. Students who had once ignored Lena now saw her. Really saw her. And while many admired her strength, others were forced to look at themselves and what they'd allowed to happen. On Monday, Lena returned to school wearing a white Judo club jacket. She didn't flaunt it, but it made a statement. She wasn't prey anymore. And surprisingly, the first person to sit beside her at lunch was Aaron Patel, senior class president, and one of the few genuinely kind souls in school. He didn't bring up the video. He just offered half of his sandwich. "You like turkey?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "You ever think of joining the martial arts team? I'm captain. We could use someone like you." Lena glanced up. "You've never spoken to me before." Aaron smiled. "Didn't know how, but I see you now." That moment changed everything. The story of Lena Park didn't end with that flip. It started there. In the weeks that followed, students came to her quietly, some to apologize, others to ask her to teach them. Lena found herself mentoring other kids who had been bullied. She started a self-defense and self-worth club that met after school every Wednesday. At first, it was only 5 kids. By the end of the semester, it had grown to nearly 50. What surprised people most wasn't just Lena's strength, but her forgiveness. She didn't hold grudges. Even when Marcy showed up one evening, eyes red, jacket too small, as if the weight of guilt had shrunk her down, Lena let her in. They didn't become friends. But Marcy listened. And Lena spoke. "I used to think silence made me weak," Lena said one night during the club's meeting. "But it just meant I was waiting for the right moment to speak and stand." Her voice shook as she spoke, but she didn't falter. Kindness isn't weakness. Forgiveness isn't surrender. Sometimes, it takes more strength to let go of hate than to hold on. The auditorium was quiet, students leaning forward, listening. For once, everyone truly heard her. Lena never wanted to be famous. She didn't want revenge. What she wanted was dignity for herself and for others who'd felt invisible for too long. Her story was shared in the local news and eventually picked up by national outlets. But Lena stayed the same quiet, focused, kind. A quiet storm that had finally been seen. And as for the bullies, many of them changed. Not out of fear, but out of shame and maybe admiration. They saw something powerful in Lena that no popularity could buy. It wasn't about the judo flip. It was the courage to stand alone and the strength to forgive.